Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. And if you like riding motorcycles or you're interested in getting on motorcycles, riding dirt is one of the best ways that you can both experience the pure joy of riding something on two wheels, but also drastically improve your skill as a rider. So I've spent plenty of time riding streets and riding a mixture, dual sport sort of riding, but this is my first time on a full dedicated dirt bike ride, and it's on this, the KLX230R, and as you'll see in a little bit, the 230RS. And there might not be a better motorcycle to try dirt riding on. This is exactly what Kawasaki makes the KLX line for. It's for going out and doing trails like this. It's not necessarily for going out and riding motocross tracks at top speed with bleeding edge technology and rip your face off two-stroke sort of power bands. This is one of the most approachable bikes you're gonna get, and you can go and buy it off a Kawasaki showroom floor for $5,000 plus destination. I'm assuming destination's about $450. You all will have already seen that below. But what this is a single cylinder, air-cooled, four-stroke motor put into a very capable dirt bike frame. And for 2025, both this 230R and its slightly lower sibling, the 230RS, are lower and more capable and more friendly than ever before. Some of the changes we're seeing is about an inch lower seat height on both the R and the lower RS model. We're seeing a little bit of a squishier seat. We're seeing a slightly larger fuel tank, a little bit different graphics, all of which coming together for an evolution of a bike that is going to be fun to ride, whether you're an experienced veteran rider or you're somebody brand new to the sport. So today's ride, we're gonna head out and do some of these excellent trails at Hollister Hills. I believe it's Hollister Hills, maybe it's just Hollister. Hollister Hills out here just south of San Jose, California. And I'm gonna talk about what it's like to ride as someone who has only had minimal dirt bike experience, and it's been over a decade ago. I've spent a little bit of time on dual sports like the KLX300. I've got the KLX230 dual sport at home actually, so check the link below, or at least subscribe if you want to see that video coming. And I've spent time in the competitive CRF 300L Rally as well, but this one's got better suspension than those bikes, and it's made for dirt riding. You're looking at about 262 pounds on this one. You're looking at electric start as well, and also new for 2025, keys for both the ignition and the 2-gallon fuel tank. Like to have that. Anything else you should know about? I mean, it's an evolution of the KLX. If you have a little bit of an older KLX 230 or 300, you're not necessarily going to be missing out on anything huge for this bike. But something else I like is that this still looks like a cool motorcycle. Despite this being a little bit more of what you'd call an entry-level off-road motorcycle, it's still got the dark wheels, it's still got the cool color matching all around. You don't have white bits on the plastic or anything. I mean, this is a cool bike. So let's get on the trail and go experience both this 230R and its little lower sibling, the 230RS. But before we get out on trail, I do have to mention, when I got booked on this trip, I didn't have any sort of motocross gear. I just had my street helmet, my street boots and everything. So the fine folks at Alpine Stars hooked me up with some of their best beginner rider sort of motocross gear. So we've got this helmet here. This is the SM5. This is something that's gonna run you about 230 bucks, I believe. And it's been comfortable all day for me. It's given me the protection I need and honestly worked really well. We've got some Alpine Stars gloves. And I've also got this kind of cool set here. You can kind of see, I've got the pants, I've got the Tech 5 boots. This is all fairly affordable gear. I've also got this really cool vest that is sort of comfortable and fits a little stretchy. It's not like one of those big hard plastic ones like you might see people wearing off-road. But this is arguably more important than the bike, is having proper gear. So if you want to get involved in dirt riding, make sure to go out and get yourself some gear. Alpine Stars has good, comfortable, and safe stuff at a good price. And they are who hooked me up for this one. So big shout out to them. All right, so we are getting ready to head out here on a little bit of a trail ride. Spent the morning on both of these bikes, getting comfortable with them. We got a mixture, looks like we got 2 S's and an R. And this is what these bikes are all about. Going out with friends, having fun, and the bandwidth to just have a good time, whatever sort of riding you want to do, the bike's here for it. 262 pounds, really not that much horsepower. I mean, look at that. We're talking probably 17 or so at the crank. But I'm in third gear here. And it makes it so you can, I mean, you can really twist it out. You can have fun. You can use the whole bike. So starting off on the RS here, about an inch shorter, about an inch less suspension travel from the R model. But more importantly than just the height, you've also got dimensional differences. You've got rider triangle and frame differences because it's got to be a little bit lower. And you do feel that coming from the bigger bike. But ultimately, because of both the size and the rake, I'm more confident on this bike. And sure, some of it's probably a little bit of placebo, but I've done the same trails on both models, and I've absolutely experienced being able to chuck this one around just that much more confidently, push it down in the corners. Now, it's not quite as comfortable, it's not quite as plush, I'm feeling it, and me at 165 pounds, I have bottomed it out, especially on some of the bigger jumps. But on these trails, I mean, this is a properly fun little bike, and as it gets really tight, I like being on this smaller one, I really do. Second gear, having that grunt right there from this 4-stroke. Woo! Being able to pop it off. Now, mind you, I do not have significant dirt bike experience, and that's why I'm happy to review a bike like this, because this is the type of motorcycle that is perfect for someone looking to get their feet wet with off-road riding. I would consider myself a strong intermediate on the streets, but fairly novice on dirt. And this is me after half a day on this bike. Oh, right there. That was a little harsh. Slow it down up a hill like that. You don't have to worry about dropping a gear. And yes, if you're strictly looking at spec sheets, you'll notice that you can get a lower bike in this class from Honda or Yamaha. But Kawasaki's always have the advantage in the suspension game, and they were not willing to sacrifice suspension for ride height. I mean, yeah, you got a little bit less suspension travel on this one versus the big boy, but they weren't going to drop it down to the point where they felt like it degraded the experience on the bike. So, I mean, look at this trail we're running. It's rutted out, it's bumpy, but this bike is really handling it well. And you've got preload adjustment in the rear, so obviously if you're a lighter rider, you're going to want to adjust that, or vice versa. Oh, right there. I mean, those are big, and even on this short bike, it's handling it really well. Coming off the 2024 model, Kawasaki also enlarged the cockpit a bit on this bike. So they moved the handlebars a little bit further away, they moved the pegs back a little bit, made it so you're a little bit more aggressive up on the handlebars. But also, that makes it just that much more comfortable for full-size riders to ride. I'm about 5'10", 32-inch inseam, and I am remarkably comfortable on this package. And speaking of comfort, Kawasaki added a little bit of extra seat padding. Woo. Made it so if you're riding all day and maybe you're sitting a little bit more of a comfort position doing trail riding, you're going to be a little bit comfortable feel more comfortable for a little longer. You saw back there where I got off the bike a little bit, got off trail and stalled it. Coming back on, having electric start is huge, because in that situation, it might have been kind of tough for me to get up and kick it if this were a kickstart bike, but electric start, fuel injection, no problem, right back up and going. Some sandy downhill, plenty of traction with these tires. I have found myself incidentally locking up the rear a little bit more than I'd like. And I was talking with another rider out here who was saying the same thing. I don't know if it's something to do with the placement of the rear brake or what. And the thing is you don't have to ride this KLX like a hoon. Yeah, I've been going kind of hard here, but this is a perfect bike for just riding casual too. I mean, there's so many cool things to see. Look at this view out here at Hollister Hills. I can just putz around. I mean, I don't need to be riding this bike like a hoon. It's very comfortable and approachable and tractable for just more of a chill riding session. And if you're not getting these two wheels off the ground, then this lower model is going to be absolutely no issue in terms of suspension travel. So the capability between the R and the RS is really not that dramatic. What we're going to notice here when we switch onto the taller bike is just a little bit of a different ethos. So we got different suspension geometry, a little bit more height, and a little bit more suspension travel. So whether it be placebo or whether it be differences in the feel of the bike, it's going to make for kind of a different riding situation. So you can see, seeing the two of them, really not visually that much different, but I do know getting off of that and onto that one sitting there at 5'10", my heels are firmly on the ground with a little bit of bend. This one, my heels just barely off the ground, but still able to get on ground, no problem. Just a little bit of a different feel. And again, that rider triangle, I'm just feeling a little bit more, a little bit further back, a little bit more relaxed on this one. And although this one is green and that one is gray, you can get either bike in either color. And they cost the same, which is really cool. I think it was smart for Kawasaki to not give any sort of pro or con between the two bikes based on price or color availability. Oh, and immediately, this bike is more comfortable. I mean, I wish I could tell you that you don't really notice giving up that extra inch of suspension travel, but an inch might not sound like much. However, when you look at it in proportions, whoo, this is over 10% more suspension travel. So theoretically, it should be at least 10% more comfortable and capable over some of these bumps. And yeah, there is a difference. Some people pointed out that the R feels a little less twitchy in the sand than the RS, and that would make sense given their suspension geometry and their rake. This one being a little bit more relaxed. I feel like I'm getting a bit more bike for my money, if you will, out of this one. But that's not to say it's the right bike for every situation. It's just gonna depend on the rider and the riding situation. Oh man, you can tell some people have had offs there. Oh, and that's a perfect example of a situation where I probably would have instinctually gotten my legs down on the S model, but on this one I kind of rode it out for better or for worse. And it should also be pointed out that this R model is virtually the same height as last year's RS. So due to some changes in the frame, as well as, I guess it's mostly changes in the frame, because the seat's actually a little thicker from the 2024 model. but Kawasaki actually got the height of both models down. And this R is about the same height as last year's RS. This year's RS, significantly lower than last year's. For this sort of riding, there's no penalty going down to the 230 motor compared to the 300. The 300 engine has an extra 2 valves. It's liquid cooled versus air cooled like this one. And you're gonna get a significant amount more power, but most of that power is gonna be felt up on the high end. So if you're riding tight, twisty trail like this, not only is this bike gonna be just as capable and just as gutsy and fun due to its gearing, but it's also going to be lighter, so it's gonna be easier, and the way it makes power is gonna be a little bit easier compared to that 300 bike. Now at $5,000 before destination, tax, title, fees, everything like that, this is one of the most affordable bikes in this class. So that is not only another reason why you might pick it over the 300. Ooh, no bottoming out there. Ugh. But it's also another reason why you might pick it over a used bike even. I mean, you're gonna be spending similar amounts of money to get onto some of these more slightly higher horsepower used bikes, and then you gotta deal with maintenance. You're not gonna have a warranty, you're not gonna be able to pick your color, etc. But all of that being said, if you're looking at maybe a 23 or a 24 KLX R, 230R, or maybe you have one and you're just watching this video because you like watching YouTube, that's not to say that that's a bad bike. The tweaks to this one are certainly evolutionary, not revolutionary. So I'm sure Kawasaki wants me to tell you to run out and grab the new one, but at the end of the day, Kawasaki just wants people out riding. Their motorcycle sales are doing fantastic, and their KLX lineup has seen huge growth during and post-pandemic. So yeah, they want people to buy bikes, but more importantly, they want people to enjoy the sport, and they want people to be into it. It was more important for them to keep the KLX lineup fresh, looking good, looking proper, and having incremental improvements, as opposed to just letting the model go stale year after year after year and just making no changes. It's kind of like the iPhone. When the iPhone comes out year after year now, people love to go, oh, there's barely anything different than the previous model. And it's kind of like, yeah, you no longer need to buy a new iPhone every year because the changes are more incremental. And that's what we're seeing here too with the KLX. They're just trying to keep it fresh. Now, interestingly, Kawasaki has told us that most buyers, most demographic of the 230R here, not the short model, but the tall one, are older riders. They're riders that maybe have a few other bikes in the stable, or maybe they've gotten out of riding for a little bit and they just want to get back on trail. And that's because for this sort of riding, why do you want to spend more money and lift a heavier bike and do more maintenance just in order to have more bike to haul around trail? I mean, I don't need more power here. I'm in second gear and I use full throttle maybe for a quick half second to accelerate, and then I'm right back either on the brake or at least coasting. Now the S model, that's where they're seeing a little bit more newer riders, smaller riders, people getting their feet wet a little bit more. But this 230R is absolutely a bike that you could just be able to throw in the back of the truck, weighs 262 pounds, and just have fun with it. And when the riding season's done, you put it away and you bring it back out in the spring, throw the battery back in, it's gonna start right up for you. It's my first time getting the R model out on some bigger open road. It's nice having that travel. It doesn't feel dramatically different, but yeah, it really is about 10% different. One nice change they did make for 2025 is a larger fuel tank. We had a 1.7 gallon before, now it's up to a 2 gallon fuel tank. and it's keyed right here to match the ignition key. And that's just going to allow you a little bit of extra wiggle room if you go out for a full day like this and you're running hard. It's just going to be that much longer before you get that little fuel light on, have to come back to the truck and fuel up. All right, so a lot of times we talk about tractability with smaller motors like this. And so what exactly does that mean? Well, we're going to go through this little obstacle course here, and I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like in the real world. So we've got a motocross track right over there, which I'm going to hit after this. But this is going to show you what maybe some newer riders are doing in slower speed stuff. And yes, we're on the taller model right now, but this is going to be even more capable for the slower stuff on the lower model. It's going to be easier for you to put your foot down. Here we got big drop off. Gonna just, ride it right down. Okay, coming up to some rocks. And I'm not feathering the clutch here. A lot of bikes, you're gonna have to feather the clutch in order to keep it from stalling out. But this, I'm gonna do no clutch. Look how slow I'm going. Big section of concrete might be in the middle of your trail. Right there, no stalling. Big log, all right, we're gonna come up on it. Well, oh, yeah, hit the bottom, but still good. Nice slow section here. Again, no clutch. I'm going I'm walking speed here. Between the grippy tires and that, right there, that's the tractability. Almost like a tractor, if you will. So you don't need to be some crazy experienced motorcycle rider to get out and do some of these tougher trails. You can do them slow like this. Look at this. No clutch feathering. Coming down, lean back. And then, oh boy. All right, stalled it there. No problem, started back up, and we're good. Big rocks. I mean, I am practically idling up over this. Look at that. And then, with the capability of this chassis, you can go right over here, shift a few times, and drop in. Woo! Now I've done a number of laps here on the short model, but I haven't yet done it on this taller one. So I'm looking forward to hitting some of these bumps that I was bottoming out on the last bike. I mean, a bike that could do all this for $5,000, I'm in, I'm sold. Woo! So, what a day. This is one of the things I love. Yeah, it's cool to be running on those cool tracks and everything, but just being out here, being out and seeing things, part of this world that you're probably not going to get the opportunity to do unless you have some sort of off-road vehicle. And doing it on a dirt bike like the KLX makes it both fun and affordable. So let's pull the bike into some shade and wrap up some of my thoughts with you. Whew, I'm I'm a little covered in the dirt. But it's hard for me to express how fun this was. And what I like about it is, as much as I like riding street bikes, there is always a nervousness for me of riding on the roads and riding those higher speeds like I like to ride, and riding around traffic. But out here, I mean, I'm having a blast doing maybe 20 miles per hour on a lot of these trails, and that's what a bike like this allows you to do. You don't need to go out and spend $10,000 on some crazy MX bike in order to go out and have fun. With the KLX line, Kawasaki makes it easy. You've got the suspension, you've got the motor, the maintenance is going to be simple, it's comfortable, it's approachable, it's capable. I don't know how much more you want from a bike like this for just over $5,000. I mean, it's pretty darn cool. I suppose I should also give some of my thoughts on the R versus the RS, but I thought I summarized it decently while riding too. But to synthesize, if you are shorter or if you are newer, the RS is a great choice. I still felt more confident and more playful, more lighthearted on this model. But if you're someone who's getting a second bike, or you're getting back into riding, or you're a little bit taller, the R model is the better bike. The fact that you're paying the same for it, the suspension just feels better. It feels more substantial. Now, if you're using this bike maybe to just put on the back of a camper and take out and run around while camping or something, then yeah, the RS is also a good choice, because it's easier, it's more casual. So I'm glad that Kawasaki makes it, and I'm glad that they don't charge any more or any less for this one. But the real one to get in my eyes is the big boy. It's the R. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the KLX230R and RS, check the link below. Got a little bit of a no talking video over on Winding Road. Another shout out to Alpine Stars for the gear, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, ride on.